Behind every business are its owners, and businesses can be owned in many different ways. In this film, we're going to look at a sole trader. The majority of businesses in the UK are sole traders. In fact, there are 2.7 million of them currently operating, usually as small businesses and in a wide variety of occupations ranging from taxi drivers and shopkeepers to decorators and mechanics, to name but a few. Rich Perry is one of those sole traders.
I make my living as a national radio plugger, and what that basically involves is it's my job to try and get as much airplay for the records and acts that I represent. If we can get them to listen to it, sit still and listen to the words, I think we can convince a whole bunch of people. I used to work for BMG RCA, and then I went to work for Sony, then I came back to BMG Arista, then I decided that with a little bit of cajoling from the corporate side that I was better off having a go at this on my own, because I could be the master, or in theory the master of my own destiny, and make my own decisions.
The big advantage of using a sole trader independent promotion team is because they live and die by their decisions. They live and die by the records they choose to work. They will only choose to work the records they totally believe in, as opposed to a record company whereby the promotion team have to work the records they're given, and there can be a lot of them and too many of them to work at one time, and therefore we feel we get a much better service.
A sole trader is defined as an individual who owns, controls and operates a business. But in the eyes of the law, a sole trader is an individual who has to pay all the debts of the business.
If anything goes wrong and you basically have a situation where you've got bought or got product and that you've got to pay a supplier for, as a sole trader you are liable for paying that come what may. That includes your house, your car, your trousers, your undies, whatever it is, to pay off that debt. As a limited company, it's capped and you're protected from that. That is a big difference. It's less relevant to me because I don't provide anything other than a human product, which is me.
Many sole traders are not sole, so to speak. They employ other people. In Rich's case, he's a one-man band. You may think that being your own boss means being able to have a line and start work whenever you feel like it, but you'd be very wrong. As there's no one else involved, Rich is busy from dawn to dusk, operating all aspects of his business on a daily basis.
You kind of do the office hours 9 till 5 or 10 till 6 or whatever you want to call it, but in reality the job really starts at the other end of the day, because what you're doing, you're seeing new acts, hearing new records, maybe in studios, or socialising with A, the people who make the decisions whether the records get played on the radio, or B, with the people that then give you your next piece of work to decide whether they want to use you to do some more work for them. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, down to radio, whether that be Radio 1 Capital, KISS, XFM, Radio 2. Troll round, just seeing who's around, trying to convince people to play your records. Thursday morning, blind panic, trying to cram any last minute stuff into, particularly for Radio 1, because Thursday's the day they do their playlist. Then Friday, pick up the pieces of the good news or the bad news and deal with any other business, really. The bottom line is you're only going to get returned what you put into it. So as much as I pretend that I make it look like I'm doing nothing an awful lot of the time, in reality I'm working all the time. The phone stays on until I go to sleep, and the first thing I do in the morning is switch it back on. The bottom line is I am the head of HR, I am the head of accounts, I am the head of admin, I'm the head of stationery, I'm also the head of mobile technology, I am the head of IT. There is no one else, it's me or nobody. The only real outsourcing I have is an accountant and a lawyer. The lawyer gets used once in a blue moon if somebody actually wants to go into a detailed contract, and the accountant gets used 4 times a year for my VAT and once a year to speak to Her Majesty's Customs and Excise and be very polite at all times.
This is all ifs, ands and pots and pans.
All big businesses start off as small businesses. Even Sir Alan Sugar started out as a sole trader, and like any businessman, Rich has ambitions for his company too.
My only business objective ever has been to give myself a comfortable lifestyle. You need to make enough deals to make sure the bills are played. If you don't make those deals, you're not going to get paid and ultimately not going to get fed. But if I can find a way to make the business move smarter and smoother and make more money, then that probably is ultimately my goal. As far as getting a partner's concerned, it's doable, but then you're splitting everything half and half, and I know how hard I work, and I'll be honest, I kind of have people that I recommend to do other parts of the job that are practically partners, but then you don't have the situation where you have to split the profit with them.
But there are factors to consider when becoming a sole trader.
It is very risky. Unlimited liability, you can actually ruin your own life financially. If you get ill, there's no one to do the job for you. You've got to be well at all times. When you score a goal, there's no one to do the dance of love with. The Christmas party's dull as ditch water. When you get it wrong, there's no one else to blame except yourself. You've got to be a jack of all trades. You've got to be available as much as you possibly can be, otherwise it's not going to get done. It's very difficult to take holidays, and it's also quite difficult getting paid, and you've got to also be hunter and hunted at the same time. You, Mr. Harris, pay the cheque.
No, we don't do that.
No. See you later. The great thing is every cheque essentially is made out to me, and there are only two of us then that share it, obviously Her Majesty's government and me. You're the boss. You make as many bits of paperwork for yourself to do as you want to or not, and in my case that's none except invoices. You use your time as and when you need it. You get to make all the decisions, you don't split the profit.
BBC Radio 1, Chris Moyles, weekdays 7 a.m. Spread the word.